now what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to combine all these pieces into one 3D object, and then I'll go through and fill it edges. So I'm going to start with, what am I going to start with? I'm going to start with putting this pin into this axle on each end. So I'm just going to put one in and then mirror it onto the other side. So let's go ahead and I'm first going to rotate it into the right orientation. I think that's going to make our lives a little bit easier. I think it's easier to rotate than move versus move then rotate. I'll rotate it 90 degrees. That looks like it's in the right orientation. Good. This hole's a little bit weird the way I did it. So this might not turn out perfect as I put it into position. Okay. I'm going to, you know what? I kind of need something to snap to over here. So I am going to draw a circle here, if it'll let me. To work off of, because this isn't really a circle anymore because of the way I cut it. Let's pretend I hadn't done that, and then we had a nice circle to work with. So I'll just put a sketch of a circle here. Okay. So I'll move this into place. That's a little off, but I think it'll do the trick. You can always select it and move it down a little bit. So I'm going to move this over to the right so that's pretty centered. And then I'm just going to pan around, make sure it's going through the middle of this. Okay, the pin looks pretty good. I can go ahead and mirror it onto the other side. So I'm going to select mirror, select this as my object to mirror, and then go to the middle of the cylinder, if it'll let me snap to it. Let's try that again. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty over here. Okay. Got the family running around like crazy. I'm trying to record this. Okay. Mirror. Doesn't seem to be snapping. Let me hop out of conceptual into 2D wireframe for a moment. It'll snap a little bit more cooperatively there, I think. Mirror. This. And my middle is not lining up for me for some strange reason. It's not snapping. Okay. I'll just do a double check on object snap, make sure my 3D object snap settings are all good. Midpoint on edge of there. Okay. That's odd. Okay, if it's doing that, then I will simply adjust. Let me hop back into conceptual. And my adjustment's going to be this. Instead of using mirror, I will just make a copy of this. And move it up. Into position. And then hit escape when I'm done. Rotate around, make sure it's in a good spot. Looks good. Hopefully we don't need to do anything that finicky again. And we don't have any issues going forward. Okay, now we're going to put this axle in this wheel. So we're going to first rotate it into the right orientation. I'm going to go full screen on this because we don't really need to see the truck right now. Make it a little easier for me to work. Okay, let's try that again. Rotate, 3D, select this, select the two pins, Hit enter. I'm going to rotate it about here. 90 degrees. Okay. Right orientation. Now it's time to move it into position, making sure I'm selecting not just the axle, but also the pins. You can bring it into position on the wheel. Okay, and then I can move it. Ooh, I made a little bit of a mistake here. Let me move that one more time. I'll actually go ahead and make this all one object because I'm going to have a little issue with it if it's not. So I'll union it to be one object, and then I'll move it. Okay. Okay. Good. Now that these are concentric, I just need to slide this axle through till this pin is pretty much against this wheel. I want to make sure I'm just moving it in one direction and that the pin isn't inside the wheel or anything crazy like that. That looks pretty good. Okay. All right, our wheel is in position. Now we can go ahead and mirror it to the other side. Looks like our center is snapping for us now. A moment too soon. So I clicked on the very center of this thing, and then I'm just bringing out this erase source object. No, and there we go. I have my assembly where it's my two wheels, my axle, and my pins. This is great. Now I can go ahead and move this onto the truck. And then for my base point, I actually will try to use the center of this. I think it'll be the easiest thing to use. And then for where I want to snap it to, I'll move over here and see if I can snap to the middle of this. Okay. Good. Now we just have to slide this in and we'll be close to done. Move this and this and this. And then again, we want to make sure we're just moving it in one direction. That is still staying concentric. That looks pretty good. Let's see what that looks like. Needs to move in a little bit further. And I can just type in values for this, actually, because I know I'm moving in the Y direction. So let me go ahead and after I select my base point, I'll just type in 0, negative, 0, 0.1. See what that does. Oh, okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, now what I'll do for my last step is I will mirror these components about the center of this rectangle, this like prism that I have at the bottom. And there we are. Completed piece. I can go through and fillet the edges now. Make sure I'm filleting edge. I'm just guessing on the radius here. It's going to be 0.125. It's just a guess. I don't really have the shape. And I'll click on all surfaces that should be filleted. On this shape, it's like everything. Every edge seems to be filleted here. Hit enter when I'm done. Enter again. And there we go. Completed product. So, I lean pretty heavily on mirror, move, and copy to do all this. But you really should be able to do most of what you have in your final project with mirror, copy, and move. I also recommend utilizing circular pattern and rectangular pattern. Polar array and rectangular array. Too many CAD softwares in my head. They like calling them different things. Arrays, both rectangular and polar. Utilize those when you have details that are patterned. You definitely want to use those there. But that's it for today. I hope this helps. Please post any questions you have in the comments below.